If a movie is ever made about Reid Hoffman, then it will not be a drama about a young genius, not an adventure film about a brilliant schemer, and not even a saga about the pillars of society. It will be a story about a man who slowly but persistently moves towards his goal, not trying to break the system but gradually influencing it. He does not destroy the world, but, as he can, embodies his philosophy. Reid Hoffman is known to most as the creator of the social network LinkedIn, aimed at creating business contacts. Somewhat less often, he is mentioned as an investor, but in fact, Hoffman stood at the origins of PayPal and was part of the so-called PayPal mafia that we talked about in our previous videos. He was also one of the first investors in Facebook and many other startups such as Zynga, Airbnb, Wikia, Flickr, Last.fm, and so on.
Well, the success of LinkedIn's IPO has made founder and chairman Reid Hoffman a very wealthy man.
The success of LinkedIn and his investments allowed Reid to amass a total net worth of over $3 billion. In our video today, we will walk through the life of Reid Hoffman and specifically talk about the success of LinkedIn. Reid Hoffman was born on August 5, 1967, in the California town of Palo Alto, near Stanford University. Summer of love was in full swing, and the boy's parents were a couple of law students. They were both in their early 20s. Young spouses separated almost immediately after the birth of their son. At first, Reid was raised by his mother, but she could not arrange her life in any way. Ultimately, the boy was in the care of his father, William Hoffman Jr. William's personal, professional, and political life was in full swing. He was an active oppositionist. He participated in protests and collaborated with radicals such as the Black Panthers. Little Reid knew from childhood how to behave at demonstrations and what tear gas was, and he visited the first rock concert at the age of 12. The son did not follow his father in character. Reid was a polite, quiet boy who adored fantasy board role-playing games. Once, the game company Chaosium invited schoolchildren to test a new game. Hoffman entered one of the groups, did the tests, and then returned to the firm's office and offered to correct any errors that he found. His work made an impression. So, according to our hero, this was his first earned money. The fact that the boy was quiet did not mean a lack of will and ambition. From an early age, the boy wanted to be independent. At age 14, he persuaded his father to send him to an independent and progressive boarding school in Putney, Vermont, away from turbulent California, where he studied blacksmithing, woodworking, and agricultural technology. Secretly from adults, the boy himself filled out and sent all the papers for admission. Reid really liked studying there, but the bullying from his classmates spoiled his joy. His youthful misfortunes ended when he entered Stanford. Hoffman chose to major in symbolic systems, a blend of linguistics, philosophy, psychology, and computer science. In his freshman year, he met his future wife, Michelle Ye, and became close to Peter Thiel. Young people together were in the student senate. Reid spoke on the liberal side and Peter on the conservative side, which did not prevent them from being close friends.
When I was at Stanford, I didn't really know what I wanted to be when I grew up, but I was interested in how people communicate with each other, how they come to an agreement, and how we find the truth together. This is how our species improve.
Hoffman received a Marshall postgraduate scholarship, which allowed him to choose a university to continue his studies. Reid chose Oxford and, in 1993, received a master's degree in philosophy. While studying at Stanford University, Reid realized he wanted to influence the world. Despite his success in science, Hoffman decided that an academic career would not allow him to achieve this, and instead of a professorship, he chose an entrepreneurial career. The young philosopher returned from England to Northern California with ideas and a desire to start a company that would improve people's lives. He even met with several investors but stumbled over a simple question: do you have experience? Hoffman had no experience of real work, except for a summer internship at a winery. To gain such necessary experience, Hoffman joined Apple Computer in 1994, where he worked on eWorld, an early attempt at building an online service. AOL acquired eWorld in 1996. He later worked at Fujitsu before co-founding his first company, SocialNet.com, in 1997. With the skills he obtained at Apple and Fujitsu, Reid turned to investors again and got backing for his startup. This was his first attempt at a social network under the name of SocialNet. SocialNet was a social network for dating and searching for partners of interest among neighbors. But, although the company made some money to its investors, the project was unsuccessful. It did not bring profit. After selling his company in 2000, Reid joined the PayPal team as COO. Hoffman's job was to manage the firm's external relations. Here, he showed himself as a strategist of the highest level. Peter Thiel, one of the founders of the payment system, called Reid its chief firefighter, noting that there were many fires that needed putting out in the company's early days. Hoffman was responsible for all external relations, including the government, partners, and payment systems. At the time of PayPal's purchase of eBay, Hoffman was an executive vice president. It was he who dissuaded eBay from creating its own payment system, explaining that the Anti-Monopoly Committee would be interested in the company. After selling PayPal in 2002 for $1.5 billion, Hoffman and his colleagues became millionaires. Peter Thiel bought a Ferrari, and Hoffman bought a more modest Acura and drove it for the next 10 years. Reid invested the difference in the cost of cars in a solar panel company, NanoSolar, at its creation stage. The company later boomed to a market capitalization of over $2 billion, but later failed to the competition with low-cost crystalline silicon solar panels producers.
An entrepreneur is someone who jumps off a cliff and builds a plane on his way down.
The company was founded in December 2002 by Reid Hoffman and the founding team members from PayPal and SocialNet.com. On May 5, 2003, LinkedIn was officially launched as one of the first business-oriented online social networks. In addition to his own funds, Reid used the investments of PayPal colleagues Peter Thiel and Keith Rabois. The creators of the network initially counted on an audience that was different from Facebook and MySpace users. LinkedIn is primarily a community of professionals who use the platform for business purposes. The idea of the platform was to connect potential employees with employers. For this, users create their own professional profiles and can communicate with each other. In August 2004, LinkedIn reached 1 million users. The audience in the early years grew by about 2 to 3 million users a year, and it took until April 2007 to reach 10 million users. Hoffman was worried that growth was very slow, but he firmly believed in the success of his idea. He believed in his idea so much that, at first, he even refused to invest in Facebook. Instead, he arranged a meeting between Zuckerberg and Peter Thiel, who in 2004 invested $500,000 in Mark's company. True, later Hoffman also invested money, but after Thiel, and much more modestly. He contributed only $40,000. Hoffman and his team continued to improve the user experience at LinkedIn by adding features. Over the next few years, LinkedIn added LinkedIn for Groups, business accounts, and the Who's Been Viewing Your Profile feature. In 2008, LinkedIn launched the mobile version of the site and added the People You May Know feature. It took the social network 5 years to start making a profit. During the crisis of 2008, a huge number of people joined LinkedIn in search of work and recruiters. In the first quarter of 2009, the number of LinkedIn users already reached 37 million. In June 2008, Sequoia Capital, Greylock Partners, and other venture capital firms purchased a 5% stake in the company for $53 million, giving the company a post-money valuation of approximately $1 billion. In November 2009, LinkedIn opened its office in Mumbai and soon thereafter in Sydney, as it started its Asia-Pacific team expansion. In 2010, LinkedIn opened an international headquarters in Dublin. The same year, it received a $20 million investment from Tiger Global Management LLC at a valuation of approximately $2 billion. Later, in 2010, LinkedIn announced its first acquisition, Spoke. In October of that year, Silicon Valley Insider ranked the company number 10 on its top 100 list of most valuable startups. The company's IPO occurred in January 2011 and was valued at $4.25 billion. The company traded its first shares on May 19, 2011, under the NYSE symbol LNKD at $45 per share. Shares of LinkedIn rose as much as 171% on their first day of trading on the New York Stock Exchange and closed at $94.25, more than 109% above the IPO price. In 2011, LinkedIn earned $154.6 million in advertising revenue alone, surpassing Twitter, which earned $139.5 million. LinkedIn's fourth quarter 2011 earnings soared because of the company's continued success in the social media world, and the number of its users reached 161 million. By this point, LinkedIn had about 2,100 full-time employees compared to the 500 that it had in 2010. The company continued to develop, the number of users exceeded 400 million worldwide, and LinkedIn began to be contacted more often than recruiting agencies. Forbes magazine named it the best platform for finding and establishing business contacts. In February 2016, following an earnings report, LinkedIn shares dropped from $193 a share down to $90 per share, a more than 50% drop. But already in June 2016, Microsoft announced that it would acquire LinkedIn for $196 a share, a total value of $26.2 billion, which was the second largest acquisition made by Microsoft to date. The acquisition would be an all-cash, debt-financed transaction. Microsoft would allow LinkedIn to retain its distinct brand, culture, and independence. Analysts believed Microsoft saw the opportunity to integrate LinkedIn with its Office product suite to help better integrate the professional network system with its products. The deal was completed on December 8, 2016. Hoffman pocketed $2.8 billion in the Microsoft deal. In 2017, Reid Hoffman joined Bill Gates' company as a member of the board of directors. In parallel, the businessman continues to work at Greylock Partners, where he specializes in early investments in network projects. Since the acquisition by Microsoft, LinkedIn continued to grow. It now has close to 1 billion users across the globe, with over 190 million users only in the USA. But we stopped talking about LinkedIn and will continue to follow the path of Reid Hoffman. Since selling PayPal to eBay, Hoffman has become one of Silicon Valley's most successful angel investors. According to venture capitalist David Z., Hoffman is probably the most successful business angel of the last decade. Dave Goldberg, former director of SurveyMonkey, says of Hoffman, "He's the person you want to talk to when you start a company." As you can see from the photos and what people say about him, Reid Hoffman can be called a networking genius. He also emphasizes the importance of connections in the book The Startup of You, which he co-authored with Ben Casnocha. Hoffman says that no matter how smart or strategized we are, it's impossible to win the game alone, it takes a team. Reid was a board observer for Airbnb and currently serves as a board director for Aurora, Blockstream, Coda, Convoy, Entrepreneur First, Joby Aviation, Microsoft, Natto, Kiva, Exploratorium and a few early-stage companies still in stealth. Through his investments, Hoffman has created a huge network of entrepreneurs and technology startup executives. Today, he is one of the most sought-after venture capital investors in Silicon Valley. Reid Hoffman has an excellent feeling for the next big thing and invested in many profitable startups. He has invested in 80 technology companies, including Airbnb, a platform for finding accommodation, Zynga, an online game developer, Flickr, a photo-sharing service, and music site Last.fm. In 2010, Hoffman became one of the partners of the small but famous and respected venture capital company Greylock Partners and managed part of its fund. Reid focuses on early-stage investing in products that can reach hundreds of millions of participants. His unique understanding of consumer behavior and a clear-eyed ability to guide startups from inception through ramped-up blitzscaling has made him one of the most sought-after advisors, partners, and investors today. Like many other members of the PayPal mafia, Hoffman has also invested heavily in crypto. In 2014, he invested in Zappo, a business engaged in Bitcoin vaults and wallets. He has repeatedly discussed his support of the currency in interviews. Hoffman's fortune is estimated by Forbes at $2.4 billion, but he can often be seen on lists of the most modest billionaires. Reid and his wife Michelle live in Palo Alto, our hero's hometown and the heart of Silicon Valley. The billionaire does not have a private jet or a huge country estate. He collects smartphones and recently bought a Tesla car, which he says is the most extravagant purchase of his life. One of Reid's weaknesses is good food. Fearing for his friend's health, Peter Thiel even hired a personal trainer and nutritionist for him. Hoffman cares about politics and social issues. Reid is a committed Democrat who contributed $30 million to the Change.org petition platform. He supports volunteer organizations such as Do Something and organizes the annual Renaissance Weekend Conference on social issues. The entrepreneur regularly lectures at Stanford, Oxford, and Harvard and has written several books. The most popular book is The Startup of You: Adapt, Take Risks, Grow Your Network, and Transform Your Career. Reid Hoffman has the ability to move easily between the worlds of technology, investment, and philosophy. He is one of the most pleasant yet influential people in Silicon Valley. He believes that it is horizontal connections between people that can change our world for the better. In April 2014, US President Barack Obama named Hoffman as a presidential ambassador for global entrepreneurship to help develop the next generation of entrepreneurs. Hoffman also received the Distinguished Citizen Award from the Commonwealth Club in April 2014. From his early days, Hoffman was paving the road to his riches by doing what he really enjoyed and is one of the motivating examples of achieving success in life. His philosophical view on life and work presents a lot to learn from, and I hope you found inspiration from today's video about this outstanding person. As for our video today, we are done. Please rate our video, and if you liked it, don't forget to subscribe. We will be back with more inspirational stories about the great personalities and the brands they built.